Oh, yeah. So it's call to order, roll call, state the pledge. All right. If you insist. Because he's not out there. Same way.
Cassidy. Or Daryl. Oh, yeah. He traded.
Use me.
Yep.
Skipping it? Yep. Nobody coming up, is there? All right. All right, go ahead and call this meeting to order. First item is roll call.
Alderman Arnold.
Here.
Alderman Bass.
Here.
Alderman Cleaver.
Here.
Alderman Knox.
Here.
Alderman Mills.
Here.
Alderman Skinner.
Here.
There is a quorum.
Okay, next item be Pledge of Allegiance from Alderman Cleaver.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next item is the approval of the agenda.
No changes, Mayor.
All right. Next item is Police Officer Oath of Office for Critical Incident Response Team, K-9 Officer Dozer.
Here it is fine. Pretty close to you. There we go. Oh, what a good boy. Okay. All right, Dozier, you do bark or affirm that you will support the Constitution, the laws of the United States, and the state of Missouri, that you will observe the provisions and the ordinances of the city of Grain Valley, that you will faithfully discharge all of your duties as a professional therapy canine and as a member of the Grain Valley, Missouri Police Department, so help me God.
I'm gonna shake. I got treats down here.
So,
Oh, bump head.
it's a hard act to follow, but we're going to have Pastor Daryl Jones lead us on our invocation after that.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Let's pray. Welcome back, Mr. Mayor and Alderman Arnold. Good to have you all back. Thank you, Father, for this community, for what this community represents, and for the future in front of us. And God, I thank you for these leaders and their dedication for very little pay to help move us forward for the betterment of our community, for the good of the community as a whole. And for us to be able to live in a place where we can continue to pursue our purpose and our mission as we feel designed by you, our Creator. And so God, I pray your blessings on the leadership, on the city staff, and as well as the elected officials, and on their agenda tonight. May it be for the peace of this community so we can dwell together in love and helping one another. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. Hey, next item is proclamations. We have a Mark 50th anniversary. Mark, Director of Early Learning and Head Start, Giovanna. Proclamation, whereas for half a century, local governments in the Kansas City region have come together through the Mid-American Regional Council to partner on regional initiatives to develop innovative solutions. And whereas the region consists of 9 counties and 119 cities, which benefit from working across boundaries on a wide variety of issues, supporting diverse disciplines and sectors, including cities, counties, nonprofit organizations, social services, education systems, and special districts. Whereas the nation's leaders engage in informed decision-making through insightful data analysis, participate in problem-solving forums to positively impact progress. Whereas each jurisdiction and individual has a role in creating a strong regional community and enabling everyone to come together to achieve positive change for the next 50 years. And whereas MARC is an organization that promotes regional cooperation through leadership, planning, and action, and it's guided by the core values of integrity, innovation, collaboration, diversity, and inclusion, excellence in performance, and service leadership. Whereas the City of Grand Valley has participated or benefited from working across boundaries, allowing us to better serve residents because of our regional work regarding public safety, transportation, environment, early learning, aging, and shared local government services. And now therefore, being complained, members of the City of Grand Valley celebrate the collaborative work that's been accomplished over the past 50 years to dedicate June 10, 2022, the day of Mark's annual regional assembly as Mark 54 Day, in recognition of the enormous progress the region will continue to make over the next 5 decades, and urge local leaders and community members to reflect on the great progress made in the past 50 years and join us in welcoming a future built upon strong regional collaboration, connections, relationships, and accomplishments. In testimony whereas I heretofore set my hand in cause to the City of Grand Valley Affection's 9th day of May 2022 in the City of Grand Valley, Missouri. Okay, next item is citizens' participation. We ask citizens come forward to the microphone and podium and please give your name and address for the record. Do we have anyone who wishes to address the board this evening?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Joanne Watson Honeywell. I'm really here to see about what's going on with the aggressive dogs in the area. About 10 days ago, I was speaking with neighbors. An aggressive dog climbed under the fence and chased me, and I had to jump into a neighbor's car, and the dog tried to come in the back door. 2 grown men were hollering and screaming at the dog. They shut all the doors. The tailgate was open. The dog was trying to climb in to get me and my 2 little dogs. He lives on Greystone, and nothing, I've been talking with Mr. Ken, Animal Control, but nothing's done about the dog yet. So I'm afraid to walk that way now with my dogs. I don't feel safe. I'm looking into fencing my yard. My dogs were on a leash. This dog climbed under. There are several points where he can get out. So I need to know about the laws for aggressive dogs, because he would have killed my dogs. One's 11 pounds, the other's 12 pounds. This is a 50-pound pit bull. I have nothing against pit bulls. I do have something against aggressive dogs. In talking to my neighbors, one neighbor, he kicked him in the head. He climbed under the fence. Another neighbor, he tried to attack his dog through the fence. One neighbor actually came down to report also. So I'm looking for answers, what to do. And then I started walking the other day. Just so happens I wasn't out. Another dog got out in the different direction, and he was aggressive. And he got after someone else. I thought it was the same dog, but I found out today it was a different dog. So what are we as citizens to do to protect ourselves and our little dogs? I don't want my dog to be killed.
Chief, are you aware of it? Situation?
Yeah.
One of the things that we've done is, before this even occurred, we wrote up a new ordinance on dangerous dogs so we can potentially get them out of our city. I found out about this second incident this morning.
Yeah.
I came in and I had Officer Tuttle to come over and talk with you on this incident. Officer Tuttle can actually elaborate a little bit more on it than I can.
So
Ken?
that's my question.
Okay, yeah, we'll have him.
Currently, right now, I'm going to be stepping up patrols in the area. I'm attempting to try to ascertain where the second dog has come from. I've been in contact with the residents of the first. I'm stepping up patrols in the area in both instances, trying to, like I said, again, trying to ascertain where the second dog had come from. I've gone door to door to try to locate the owner of said animal. I can only say it's in the area of Greystone and Montana Ridge, and I'm still in the process of trying to find that animal. As for this first issue Ms. Honeywell was brought to my attention, I've actually spoken with the owners at the address where the dog had come from, and I'm going to be touching base with them over the next few weeks to make sure that they are addressing their fence line issues. The matter if it's a young dog, a broken fence line, which needs to be obviously repaired. I will be stepping up and talking with them about that.
Okay.
That's all good, but I'm still afraid to walk that way.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't leave me, and me with two little dogs on a leash and a 50-pound dog coming at, I can't carry anything for self-defense because I got to control them. I had to swing my dogs in that car, and that dog came in, tried to come in the back, and I hunkered down. I don't feel safe in my community. So I want y'all to know that until something's done about this dog. I really don't. Yeah. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You'll keep in touch with her and keep us updated as well, so we can. Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else wish to address the board? So now move on to the consent agenda.
Mayor, I move that we accept the consent agenda.
Okay, we got a motion from Alderman Skinner to accept the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Bass. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Seeing no previous business or new business, move on to presentations. We have a presentation from the Grand Valley Partnership and Tasha Lindsay.
Good evening, Mayor Todd, gentlemen of the Board of Aldermen, City Administrator Ken Murphy. Before I start my speech, I'm super excited for you guys to hear from my board president. I think this is the first time that I've actually had somebody from my board that was to kind of stand up here and talk to you as well about who we are and what we do. So I am happy to announce Kevin Gertz.
Good evening, Mayor Todd and members of the board. I would like to discuss some of the progress we've been making as within the partnership over the past year. We have clarified and committed to our identity and logo. We are the Grand Valley Partnership. We serve both as a chamber and economic development for those who may not know. Our mission statement is, the mission of the Grand Valley Partnership is to be the leader of growth in Grand Valley, and our tagline is Grow Grand Valley. Two statements that are short and simple, grow and growth. Used in these two statements that tell us exactly who we are and why we're here. We have now put in place measurables and goals, so we will be able to produce annual and quarterly reports. We have put committees in place and are working hard on the common goals and growth of the community and our businesses. We have a government relations committee that has been meeting regularly, a nominating committee that is meeting as required, a marketing committee that's been meeting monthly, executive committee has been meeting monthly. Our great board of directors have been meeting monthly. I have been meeting one-on-ones with all of our board members to make sure that we're on the same page. We are having quarterly meetings with our partners and investors to make sure there's clarity so that we're all on the same page. We have grown in membership. We have full communication with the city, the school, and CJC. We support them in every way we can. We have looked within and making sure we put schedules and calendars in place to make sure we're proactive and not reactive with our community events and communications. Since our last board meeting, we have decided to even create more committees to help our partnership grow and accomplish great things that are to come in the future. We are now part of our regional activities and becoming recognized by our neighbor chambers and even Governor Mike Parson. And in closing, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to be here, and I thank you for your partnership. It is my goal to no longer be asked, where is Green Valley? We must strive to have better planning and representation to make sure we are no longer just considered the city just east of Blue Springs. Thank you.
Oh, now you.
Okay, 'cause I move over here. Once again, thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm so glad that after 2 years, I can stand before you and talk about the partnership again. The years 2020 and 2021 seem like a decade ago. Those 2 years have forever changed how we go about doing business. We will be seeing the remnants of COVID for a long time. One way of doing business during COVID years changed as our way of doing business during the COVID years changed, as did the life of many business owners. Words like pivot, shift, being flexible, thinking outside the box, and that dreaded social distancing became very common words in our vocabulary, but more than anything, those words became a way of life. I believe it was during those years that the partnership truly did what we were meant to. We were a conduit of information. My days were spent in front of computer screens, watching webinar after webinar, checking for updates on so many websites to ensure that I completely understood what was expected from our business community regarding the pandemic and the restrictions that were placed. The way we did business changed. It had to. We could not be hosting our networking events. The board continued to meet, but we did so virtually. We didn't see a taste of normalcy until about the fall of 2021 when we were able to hold our first luncheon again. And although we had to wear masks, we were happy to be together. We are finally starting to see an uptick in attendance at our gatherings. We are back to meeting as a board in person, but we do offer a virtual option, and many still join us using their PC. Not due to COVID per se, but due to the realization that by doing so, they can get more accomplished without any drive time in between meetings. Like I said earlier, the way we as businesses conduct our business has been forever changed. During COVID, I had amazing feedback from the businesses on the information that I was sending out. So I knew that I was doing what was needed to be done at the time. I'm happy to say that the information that I was sharing with our businesses was also being used by a few of the smaller Chamber of Commerces that surround us. So the impact of our reach was huge during this time. Let's fast forward to today. As I sat to prepare this meeting, I realized the Green Valley Partnership is 5 years old this year. I have been with the partnership for 4.5 of those years, of course, not always in the capacity that I am now. I was offered the executive director position in November of 2018. I accepted that offer with great excitement, knowing that I had to do a lot of learning as quickly as I can. Chamber I knew. Chamber I did well. Economic development, not so much. I started my pursuit of my certificate in April of 2019, taking the basics EDC class that is required. I took a class in November of 2019 through IEDC, which is International Economic Development Council, called Business Retentions and Expansion. I was then accepted into Leadership Missouri class of 2020. So I had to put my certificate education on hold for the year of 2020. The leadership class required 1 week of travel a month for 7 months, and there was no way that I could do both, plus maintain the position at the Green Valley Partnership. Well, LMO 2020 was canceled due to COVID. So I soon became LMO class of 2021. I am proud to say that I graduated from Leadership Missouri in December. So in 2021, when I realized that I could not further my education towards the EDC certificate, I found OUEDI, Oklahoma University Economic Development Institute. I applied to OU and I was accepted. I'm happy to announce that I have started my professional development classes again, and my goal is to have my certificate no later than the fall of 2023. My huge goal is spring of 2023. I honestly could probably be done in fall of 2022, but that's pushing a lot of information. It's super important that I do this for the right reasons. I need to retain that information for implementation, not to check boxes to receive a few initials behind my name. Keeping in mind that our fiscal year is from April to March, this past year has been a year of change internally. Under the leadership of Board President Kevin Gertz and the guidance of the Board of Directors, we took a deep dive into the organization, the structure, and the bylaws that govern us. We created committees too, as well as truly looked at our identity. We have set lofty goals and have implemented measurables. This year has been the most forward-moving year we have had as the organization. We have updated our logo to better explain who we are, and we have revamped our membership structure and added benefits. I'm super excited about where we are now and even more excited about where we're going. I have given each of you a folder that has the information inside so that you can see exactly what we are doing. So in your folder, there's quite a bit of information. This side is what we consider our new membership folder. This is any business I visit that wants to know more about the partnership gets that. On the left side, I will kind of let you know what that is as we move forward. Who are we? The Green Valley Partnership. We operate as the Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development Corporation. Our mission is to be the leader in the growth of Green Valley. I am proud to say that we now have 3 networking events each month. This allows our members to connect with one another, build relationships, promote their personal businesses. The best form of advertising is word of mouth and referrals. It is fact that referrals are most done by friends. We offer the opportunity to make friends. We offer 3 different times of the day for each event. We recognize that most of the businesses are small businesses, and it is hard to run a business and attend just a middle of the day luncheon. We have Coffee Connections that is held on the 3rd Friday of each month from 8 in the morning until 9. We offer the monthly luncheon from 11:30 until 1 on the 2nd Tuesday, and now our 4th Thursday meetup is from 4 to 7, obviously on that 4th Thursday of the month. Networking is a must in the growth of a business, and it is our job to accommodate the best we can. We do have a reach of 75 to 80 people throughout the month across our programs. We are continually looking to add to our programs to ensure that we are bringing education and guidance to our business community. The city administrator, Ken, Deputy City Administrator Teresa, and I meet monthly to ensure that we continue to be fulfilling the need that is expected of the partnership. We also identify where I can be of assistance to them. I was honored to be a part of the branding task force, and our current project is the Missouri Main Street Association. I am dedicated to the time that will be needed to allocate should we be chosen to be a part of that program. You guys heard from the branding committee, Candid, and you heard some of those comments that they received back from those surveys. And I want to take the time to address some of the negative economic development comments that came during the branding survey from other economic developers. Since the survey comments given were anonymous, I had to assume that those questions were KCADC, which stands for the Kansas City Area Development Council, and the Missouri Department of Economic Development. So as soon as Candid shared the comments during their sales pitch, I immediately reached out to both organizations and asked them to come to Green Valley. They needed to see our city. They needed to see where we truly are as a community. A few of the comments mentioned us not using our assets, i.e. the lack of use of our airport, our rail system, not being a player in the RFI, that's request for information. Ken, Treese, and I were confused by some of these statements and agreed that we needed to have a discussion with them, but not blindly. So both a representative from KCADC, and 2 representatives from the Department of Economic Development came to Green Valley, 2 different tours on 2 different days. They both left understanding a little better why we can't submit an RFI. And in your folder, I have printed out the latest, and it's called the project. I have printed out the latest project that we received from either Missouri Partnership or KCADC. And so you guys can look over that and see what some of those requirements are, and you'll understand better why we can't answer some of these RFIs. We don't have the real estate. We don't have an existing building that meets the demand that they're asking. And they were able to see Green Valley with fresh eyes. We are an amazing city that is still growing by leaps and bounds, both residentially and commercially. However, we are landlocked. Our airport is only suited for smaller personal-sized planes. Our rail system has a small old spur that would need a complete overhaul. I feel we do a great job of embracing the strengths that we do have, our schools, the small town feel, and we are finally seeing our community come to life. We talked about business retention and expansion. The city and I determined what questions we wanted to have answered. Questions that make sense to our community. Ones that weren't too invasive, but still gave us a good picture of Green Valley from the business owner's eyes. I've included those in your packet as well. There's a list. It's the form that I take when I go to a visit. We sit there and I have a conversation with each business. I listen to them, and then as soon as I walk out of that meeting, I write down all those answers. So I'm not distracted. I'm not sitting there writing as they're talking. I don't read off a script. You know, it is definitely a conversation. So I have included those questions so that you guys are really aware of what Ken, Teresa, and I have come up with. I had the pleasure of meeting with about 15 of our businesses up in the industrial park and about 15 of our businesses that I have contact with a little bit more regularly. I am focusing my efforts on reaching the north side due to the fact that that is where there is less engagement and my reach isn't as strong. Whereas information that I ask for is not easily measured, I am keeping track of the responses and will put together a better report for my October presentation. The businesses that I visit will need to remain anonymous unless an action item is needed to be completed, and that's when I would go to whoever there was an issue with. I wanted to share a little bit about what I am learning. I will also say that I'm trying to start with the smaller sized businesses first. Those are the ones that will feel alone and may not know where to turn if they have an issue or concern. Out of the 15 businesses that I visited up north, all had less than 10 employees. And surprisingly, the businesses that I have visited are not experiencing the same workforce issues that we're seeing at a national level. All were very happy doing business in Green Valley. And the main point of concern is the condition of Jefferson Street. And of course, supply chain issues caused some delays. One was thinking of expanding, and they were in communication with Ward Development and do not plan on leaving Green Valley. When asked the question, why Green Valley for your business? Many stated that the business space fit their needs and the price was right. Many were from the local area, and many appreciated the access to I-70. A few of the businesses that I visited are looking to grow their employee base within the next 5 years. Many talked very highly of doing business in Green Valley. A few of the newer businesses more on the south side, the overlay district mentioned, a couple hoops that needed to be jumped through, which caused some frustration at the time of trying to get open, but also mentioned they understood the intent of the hoops and that Mr. Mark Trojan was a pleasure to work with. I was so excited to hear such positive remarks. That is a quick recap of the 2021 year. So let's fast forward to 2022. I would like to pay mention to my current board of directors. In the contract between the city and Green Valley, it specifically mentions 4 of our board director seats. 2 of those should be from the city. That includes the mayor and the city administrator. So Mayor Mike Todd and City Administrator Ken Murphy do sit on my board. Teresa Ozenbaugh does sit as a proxy to ensure that the city is always represented in the event that the mayor and city administrator, one or the other, needs to be absent. 1 seat from CJC. That seat is filled by Chief Kirk Lair. 1 seat from the GVR5 school district. That seat is filled by Dr. Brad Welly, next appointed GVR5 superintendent. Dr. Snow felt it behoove Dr. Welly and the board if Dr. Welly started before he actually took the superintendency, so he's with us for that entire our 2020 year. The final 9 members are as followed: Kevin Gertz, Moxie Pest Control, Board President; Dan Strader, State Bank of Missouri, he's our Vice President; Rod Knopfzinger, OOIDA, he's our Treasurer; Martha Meyer serves as an individual, she is our Secretary; Kim Rome, Blue Ridge Bank and Trust; Tyler Brown, Farmers Insurance, the Brown Team; Lance Sheffers Commercial Roofing; Melissa Winston, 510 Counseling Group; Dr. Kathy Dowd, Green Valley Chiropractic. As you can see, we have a very talented and knowledgeable board of directors. I know that we are going to crush the goals we have set. Here are a few of our goals that we have set. 75 new members in a year. We are at 15, and I have 5 meetings this week to onboard 5 more. 50 business touches a week. This includes any visits, new business meetings, phone calls, and individual emails sent. This does not include my mass emails that I sent on a weekly basis. Hold 3 networking programs a month. We got those covered with Coffee Connections, our monthly luncheon, and the 4th Thursday meetup. Create and implement a BRE program. This is underway, and we will have some really good numbers by October. Create and implement a workforce development program. This will be contingent on the need heard during those visits, how we direct the workforce. My personal goals: to get my CEDC certificate, to create eye-catching reports for you mid-year and then an annual report, continue to update the website with very relevant information. This is a work in progress, and periodically I reach out to my community partners, Evergy, Spire, MCC, UCM, saying, would you please take a look, make sure that they're happy. KCADC, I've used them, I've asked them for guidance. Broaden our community reach to get Grand Valley noticed. That is it for my report. I will now take any questions.
Anyone have any questions?
So you said you have, understand you right, you said you had 15 members and your goal was 75?
15 new.
15 new?
New, yeah, on top of the ones that we have retained.
And how many do you have now?
We're close to 200.
200 members?
Yes.
Anyone else have any questions?
Well, I see, I know our last meeting we talked about every 6 months, every quarter reports. I see that in the new draw up that you have, so we're gonna get a report every 6 months.
Yes, so
we
my
can
next,
see.
yes, sir. My next time that I'll be here will be in October with that report, and then again in May.
Okay. And then I see it's a 3-year contract. Why 3 years?
Basically, we're just mimicking what we had the last go-around, so it's 3 consecutive 1-year deals, basically.
Okay,
But we're
it's
not
been
having
read
to-
that way, read 3-year contract instead of like a 1-year, 2.
Yeah, I mean, it is for
Rules.
3 years, but it's something that every year, it's that set amount.
So every year we can evaluate it.
Well, yeah, I believe that the answer to that would be that we can always, everything is evaluated on a year-to-year basis based off of budgeted funds. It'd be that way for any agreement that we're in.
Okay.
Anything else from anyone? All right, thank you.
Thank you for your continued support.
All right. I see Mark getting the mic ready. He's ready. Next item is public hearing. We have a public hearing for Chapter 400 zoning regulations and Chapter 405 subdivision regulations.
So the purpose of this public hearing, Mayor and Board of Aldermen, is to accompany Bill 22-17. The reason for this public hearing is pursuant to Section 400.330 of the City Code, as well as Section 89.050 of the Missouri State Statutes. There are changes to Chapter 400 in the zoning regulations, as well as Chapter 405 of the subdivision regulations during the final codification changes that were conducted by General Code when they went through the city's municipal code. If you're familiar with it, since 2020, General Code has been conducting a full recodification, including a review of the 1996 code as updated over the years. General Code, their skilled attorneys and legal editors identify conflicts, inconsistencies, duplications, and statutory compliance issues in the code, and then makes a recommendation in regards to in regards to organized and consistent format and style. A full recodification typically occurs every 12 to 15 years. So the changes pertaining to chapters 400 and 405, in summary, require a public hearing. The Planning and Zoning Commission conducted a public hearing on April 13th, 2022. They reviewed those changes. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval of those changes. The public notice was given in the Examiner on Saturday, April 23rd regarding this public hearing. Staff recommends approval.
Have any questions? Okay, as this is a public hearing, we'll open it up for public comments. Is there anyone who wishes to comment on the public hearing? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Next up then is resolutions. First up, we have R22-40, a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to enter into an agreement with Utility Service Company Inc. to provide maintenance for city-owned water tanks and towers.
Mayor, I move that we approve resolution number R22-40.
We have a motion from Alderman Mills. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Knox. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, Utility Service Company is a company that we've used since, I believe, 2007, with the goal being that that's how we maintain our safe and clean drinking water. So basically what they do is you get into an agreement with them long-term, and they maintain our two ground storage tanks as well as the tower on Tire Road to make sure that we're in compliance with all the water quality regulations. But basically, each year they set out a certain amount of things that they're going to do to each facility, in addition to the annual maintenance that they do. But to this point, we've been very happy with them, and it's allowed us budget-wise to be able to look at things long-term and not have any surprises as we go. I'm sure everyone's seen different things about water systems and how, if that goes bad, that can be a really bad deal for a city. So it's just one of those steps that we go through and have been happy with and want to continue with.
Anyone have any?
How long is the term?
So this, every year, we bring it back to the board and go. But if you look inside the packet there, they basically lay out where you can see going forward what they plan to do each year. I mean, theory, it's a year-to-year thing again, but as long as you stay with them, you're on a path to have all the facilities in good shape.
Okay, that's kind of the way I was reading it, but I wasn't really sure.
And this is actually the same, around here, Blue Springs, Odessa, both use that same group and have for a number of years.
Have any additional questions?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, just to clarify, so there's 3 costs in here? Those are just for general maintenance, for the annual general maintenance costs? Those aren't for anything specific, like the tire tower 28,515, that's not for painting, it's listed in the maintenance schedule, correct?
So that's the total cost that they're estimating for each of those facilities.
Okay.
That's what makes up the 46,558.
Yeah, okay, so because I see we haven't painted the interior of that since like '08, so is the life expectancy still 13 and a half years roughly?
Yeah,
I
and
mean, I guess.
Yep, and that schedule that you're looking at there, it sets that out. Like I said, so basically you can plan going forward on that. And obviously when you're talking about the Tire Road Tower, it gets a little bit more expensive when they're up there painting it, but.
Anything else? All right. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, next item is resolution R22-41. It's a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley authorizing the city administrator to sign a contract amendment with Hofer Wickler LLC for architectural services.
I move that we approve resolution number R22-41.
I have a motion from Alderman Skinner. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second Alderman Knox. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, this is in some ways kind of an administrative function. As you know, Hafer Welker is our architect for the new police station. And when we initially got into the agreement with them, they were going off of the information that they had from the last go-around when we were looking at a police station, which at that time the construction cost was, I think, 6.1 million, right around there. After going through this whole process this time, and obviously costs increasing, what made up that 14 million bond number, 10.1 of that is the construction cost. So basically this amendment is showing that, it's bringing that update from 6 to 10. The percentage is still the same, like any other architectural group now. It's based off of what the estimated construction cost is. So obviously you don't know that final number until you actually get to that point. But that's what their estimate is. The only other new thing that's in there is because we did ask them to change sites. There is additional money in there for a site survey for the Butterfly Trail area. So as I mentioned, I think at the last meeting, we did put out the RFQ for construction manager services for that. And inside of that RFQ, it did name the Butterfly Trail area as the spot for that. So this is all kind of in conjunction with that, but it brings us up to date with the best numbers that we have at this point.
Anyone have any questions? All right. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. 6-0. Next up, we have Resolution R22-42. Be a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley authorizing the city administrator to enter into a 3-year cooperative agreement with the Grand Valley Partnership.
Mayor, I move that we approve Resolution R22-42.
I have a motion from Alderman Arnold to approve Resolution R22-42. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Mills. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, this is kind of what we were talking about just a few minutes ago, but basically it's our last 3-year agreement is up with the partnership, so this would be entering into a new agreement with them. And to answer Alderman Cleaver's question, no matter the length of term of a contract, just by law, the board can essentially everything's on a 1-year basis because it takes budget approval for any of the agreements that we're in. So there's always kind of that clause that's in there. But this is a 3-year, like the last agreement. And funding for this, I should say, it comes from the tourism fund, which essentially is from the hotels, the tax on hotel rooms.
Anyone have any questions? All right. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. 6-0. Next up is ordinances.
Bill number B-2213. This is an ordinance approving the final development plan for the Greystone Plaza Tract B.
Mayor, I move that we accept the second reading of bill number B 22-13 and approve it as ordinance number 2585.
All right, I have a motion from Alderman Cleaver to approve Bill B 22-13 for its second reading, making ordinance 2585. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Bass. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, roll call.
Alderman Arnold,
Yes.
Alderman Bass,
Yes.
Alderman Cleaver,
Yes.
Alderman Knox,
Yes.
Alderman Mills,
Yes.
Alderman Skinner.
Yes.
6-0.
The next is Bill number B-2214. This is an ordinance amending Chapter 215, offenses related to non-consensual pornography and public indecency.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept the second reading of Bill B 2214 and bring it back for approval under ordinance 2586.
I have a motion from Alderman Knox to approve Bill B 22-14 for its second reading, making ordinance 2586. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Cleaver. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, roll call.
Alderman Arnold,
Yes.
Alderman Bass,
Yes.
Alderman Cleaver,
Yes.
Alderman Knox,
Yes.
Alderman Mills,
Yes.
Alderman Skinner.
Yes.
Bill number B-2215. This is an ordinance amending Chapter 225 nuisances of the Code of Ordinances in Section 225.010 definitions, 225.030 enumeration, and 225.050 weeds.
I move that we accept the first reading of bill number B-22-15 and bring it back for its second reading by title only at our next regular session.
Okay, I have a motion from Alderman Mills to accept Bill B-22-15 for its first reading, bring it back by title only for its second reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Arnold. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Trozen.
Mayor and members of the board, our code enforcement officer consistently has issued notice of violations, sometimes to the same person for the same property. As currently written, then, the code enforcement officer has to start over for each new violation. So this process takes some time and is very upsetting to the neighbors when they file the complaint on that same violation over and over again. What we did was we researched and looked what other communities does. And what we did find was they have what they refer to as habitual violations. So what we're proposing is a change to the code that if more than twice within a 12-month period, a repeat violation of the same ordinance, this would be pertaining to tall grass or trash, debris, and litter, occurs by the same person on the same property, is reported to the city, that without further notification, issue a general order of summons and a violation be abated, and the cost of the same shall be billed in the manner as described by the ordinance.
Anyone have any questions? All right, let's see.
This doesn't violate anything with due process or anything on this process there. Nope. Okay.
Anything else? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Bill number B-22-16. This is an ordinance approving the sale of certain real property in Green Valley, Missouri to Scottish Investments LLC and authorizing the city administrator to execute all necessary documents required to effectuate and close said transaction.
Mayor, I move that we accept the first reading of bill number B-22-16 and bring it back for its second reading by title only at our next regular session.
I have a motion from Alderman Skinner to approve Bill B-22-16 for its first reading, bring it back by title only for its second reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Pass. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, earlier this year, we put out an RFP basically asking for requests for the purchase and use of what we refer to as the Nichols building. So it's 513 and 517 Craig that used to house Nichols Machine and has for the last 4 years been the home of the Green Valley Assistance Council, with the city being the landlord. One of the things that was important to the board at that time was seeing what the actual use was going to be, as downtown has been one of the focuses that we're trying to give a lot more attention to. So we got 3 responses back. This was the only bid that actually covered both buildings, but the board had made the decision to move forward with that. Like I said, with the idea of not only the purchase price of it, but just going forward, what that means for the area, and our greater goal of kind of revitalizing the downtown area. So what you have before you would be an ordinance that would allow me to sign whatever paperwork is necessary to close that deal. I can tell you that 2 people involved with Scottish Investments are here in the audience if you did have any questions for them. And I included their response in the packet.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this allows for the Assistance Council to stay there currently for 15 years.
Yeah,
correct?
that is true. One of the things that the board required of us, or anyone that bid on it, was at least for a year for the Assistance Council to be able to stay as they are. And in this proposal, it did give up to 15 years for that.
Anyone have any additional questions? All right. Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Next is Bill number B-22-17. This is an ordinance adopting and enacting a new code of ordinances of the city of Green Valley, Missouri, establishing the same, providing for the repeal of certain ordinances, not included therein, except as herein expressly provided, proving for the manner of amending such code of ordinances, providing penalty for the violation thereof, and providing when this ordinance shall become effective.
Mayor, I move that we accept the first reading of Bill B 22-17 for its first reading and bring it back for its second reading by title only.
Okay. A motion from Alderman Arnold to approve Bill B 22-17 for its first reading, bring it back by title only for its second reading. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second, Alderman Skinner. Any discussion?
Mayor and members of the board, Mr. Trozen did a great job of trying to explain what was all included in here. But long story short, this has been a almost 2-year process at this point, where municipal or general code went through, or municipal code went through our municipal code to see if there were any discrepancies, differences, even things like over time, department directors' names or titles change. Just kind of updating all of that. So it's a very lengthy document. They did their review, staff went through and did a review, and then Labrador Municipal Law also went through and made sure that they were okay with all of the changes. But as Mr. Trozen said, it's supposed to be done every 12 to 15 years. It was 96 the last time that it was done for the city, so
That's close.
we'll round and try to do a better job of that in the future. But it did mean that there were a lot of very archaic sections of the code that nobody really even knew about because you don't use them that often. But like I said, the biggest issue is you don't want to have something in there that's not actually legally enforceable. But that is the ordinance that's before you.
Anyone have any questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. 6-0. That's it for ordinances. Next up, city attorney's reports.
No report, Mayor.
Next up, city administrator and staff reports.
I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Davies.
Mayor and board, it's that time of year again. We are opening up the pool. Memorial Day weekend, we open Saturday, May 28th at 12 o'clock. This week for the 2022.
You getting that water in there this week to warm it up?
Well, we've got to get it painted.
No.
first. Let that dry and cure out, and then we'll start filling it. Yeah. Last week didn't cooperate.
Yeah.
Next, Mr. Trozen.
So our successful contractor who received a bid for our overlay program, he starts Superior Bowen. They start milling this Wednesday, and then they will start paving then on Friday. They will start up north on Duncan Road, and then we'll then go south on the roads that are listed as far as on the 2022 road improvement program. And that list of roads are on the city's website.
And how far on Duncan?
They'll go from the city limits on the west end of town all the way to Buckner and Tarsney Road.
Thank you.
And that will also then include in the wide section of Duncan Road, we will do a bike lane on both the north side as well as on the south side.
Okay.
Only on the wide section of Duncan Road.
Perfect. Thank you.
Coordinating that with the Parks and Recreation Department. The second announcement that I wanted to share is also in conjunction with Shannon and the Parks and Recreation Department. Last week, we issued a request for proposals for qualified firms to prepare a comprehensive plan and Parks and Recreation master plan. We've listed that RFP on the city's website. But in addition to that, we sent a invitation email to consulting firms that have professional expertise in preparing these type of firms. There are 2 dates. First date, June 7th at 10 a.m. here in the council chambers. We have scheduled a Q&A session for firms. Invite them to come and ask us any questions in regards to the RFP. And then our proposals are due by 2 p.m. on June 28th, 2022 from those firms. And then we'll start the process of doing interviews as well as then the selection process.
And then inside your packets, there were written reports from Community Development, HR, and Court. And That is all the reports from staff.
Okay. Next is Board of Alderman reports and comments. Alderman Arnold.
I have a couple things. I imagine more people have heard and seen the things on Facebook about the contract company doing the fiber optics around town. And I had a gentleman contact me this evening that was dealing with that issue. He reached out to the city and spoke to Patrick at Public Works, and they're gonna be looking at that. I don't know if we need to maybe go a little further and officially contact the contractors and or their whatever company they're working for, to tell them our concerns about the fact that some of the things they're doing aren't being done to the most professional level that we would like to see, so that we can maybe head off some of this so we don't have to go back and do it again after they don't do it to the level we'd like to see. So, you know, I want to see if we can be proactive on that and make sure that we take care of the things like our citizens would like to see on that, so.
Yeah, and I know our engineering inspector has been in contact with the contractors that are doing the work. They definitely came in with a head of steam and went fast. But hopefully we're on the tail end of most of that this go around. But it definitely has been a topic of conversation for us.
So we do have those conversations with them daily.
Okay.
And we do hear from our citizens, and so we have those conversations, and we do have a bond from the contractor, and if they do not perform it to our expectations, we can always call that.
Okay.
And many of you know that a contractor never wants that bond called, because that makes it very difficult for them in the future to get that bonding capacity from future insurers. So, you know, we find there's 2 or 3 contractors working for AT&T Fiber. Some are better than others that have been working in our community, but we will definitely take care of that.
Okay. Do we have a list of sites where they've worked on stuff so we can go by and review it? See.
The entire city, practically.
I know it's a big deal, but if there's somehow a
Yeah.
list of addresses to give you an idea, especially where they got into sidewalks and stuff, because this one particular one is along Snybar where there's a lot of pedestrian traffic, and you know, the concern was with the sidewalk. I want to make sure that we don't get a subpar sidewalk that we have to go back and fix later.
Yeah, and for any of that work in the right-of-way, a right-of-way permit is required, so it has to be on file, and that's where we get the contractor name and any of the places where they're going to be doing work.
All righty. The second thing I had is, may have received some comments from the citizens around Cleaver Park. And I spoke with Ms. Miller and Ms. Petro about that, and we brainstormed some ideas possibly to try and deal with the situation up there. One was a block party where they bring all the parents and neighbors together there for an evening to discuss what the park's about and get everybody on the same page of what they would like to see there and so forth. And even a second thought was possibly to have one just for the teenagers that are part of the issue there, that everybody's having concerns with what they're doing out there or what they shouldn't be doing. And they appreciated Mr. Bill's comments and so forth, but they're still kind of a little bit in the loss about what to do to make sure that the park stays safe and is used for a family area as they move forward. I didn't know if there was any funding in the Alderman's portion of the budget to assist with block parties like that. It's something that helps our citizens.
I mean, we don't have anything specific to that for this year. I mean, we do have some events that are funded in there. But as far as what that would entail, I don't know off the top of my head or what that would be as far as amounts. And I do know we had officers that went out and met with some of them. And I think the plan going forward too is to kind of be a little more, or have more of an appearance there. Because it seems like it's maybe just been the kids kind of running wherever and whatever they wanted to do. So I know that's been a goal of PD over the last probably 2 weeks, maybe this is going on, I would guess. And also, I think Mr. Davies, there were some questions about the actual park itself, and I think he has reached out to them and are looking at that as well.
Okay. We even discussed maybe one of the solar-powered streetlight things like we have by the parking lot over by Butterfly Trail, but the only issue with that is that after dark, then they can stick around a little longer. Typically, when it gets dark, they leave the area, because it's dark back there. But, I don't know if light would make it better or make it more of a problem.
Arnold, if you want to try to like line up the block party and kind of let me know what you need, I got, period of contacts with some of the businesses in town. We might be able to get like food and stuff donated and do it that way, so.
I'll get back with Ms. Miller and see what she's worked on since our last conversation. That's all for now.
Alderman Mills,
Nothing at this time?
Alderman Bass,
Yeah, I have two things. I also second what Alderman Arnold had mentioned about, I've had a couple of citizens contact me about the work being done around the city, so I just said appreciate all the city staff staying on top of all that, so thank you. And second, we had, a while back, I think we had a citizen ask about maybe adding or putting in handrail on the ramp, down on the lower portion of the ramp, and I think we've gone as far as maybe getting pricing for that, so just curious if city staff could take a look and see if there's room in the budget for that, to make that happen at some point in the future.
Yeah, we did get a quote after that comment was made, so we do have that. The quote would be for railings down both sides of the sidewalk, basically from where it tees out all the way down. It's not, there wasn't a line for it in the budget, but that is something if the board chooses.
what was
that
the
we
number
could-
on that?
The estimate was just under 3,000 total for materials and labor or installation costs.
Would anyone object to staff looking at that in the budget to see if they could move forward with that?
Okay.
Let's know what you find, move forward with that.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. Alderman Skinner?
Just to reiterate the AT&T work and Xfinity work that's going on. I know my neighborhood has been a victim of that, and I know certain people, at least on my street, that have had issues with sod and everything else. So, and then the other question was, Chief, do we have a leash law in Green Valley? Just referencing the citizen participation from earlier.
Well, they have to have a leash on, but there's no designated law that it has to be.
Yeah, no length, but if a dog were to get out of a fence,
They should have a
okay.
leash.
Has there been any reports or anything made on any of the issues that the lady brought up? Any police reports or anything?
Yeah, we took a report on that
Okay.
When it happened. Again, I sent ACO Tuttle out there this morning when I found out about this second incident. So he not only talked to her, but talked to other neighbors as well to try to combat the problem. Yes, there is a leash law.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Knox?
I hate to beat a dead horse. Mark, on the AT&T stuff, they're drilling the plugs in the streets and then filling them back with rock. Are we going back and making sure those are paved and sealed so water doesn't get in them and shove them out? Okay. And the next thing is, are we inspecting the work, or are we just relying on people to call in and complain? Because I know they finished with my yard and did a nice job of putting a little round thing and making it match the yard. Then they just walked off and left a pile of dirt piled there. So are the citizens supposed to be the ones policing this, or are we doing it for them? Because they may think they're just stuck with it.
Well, we're gonna make sure that it's done properly. So we're not gonna let go of that bond until we're satisfied with the restoration work. So we're gonna make a final inspection, before we let go of that bond. Any concerns that any citizens have, we'll definitely take those calls. But our inspector's gonna continue to go around the city, and if he sees any inconsistencies as far as how it should look, and if it doesn't look that way, he's gonna contact the contractor.
Okay, do we have that on the city website? Or telling people they can call in. It may drive you nuts, but
It won't drive us nuts.
I'm just afraid there's people out there think they're just stuck with it.
Yeah, we have the phone number online that they can call AT&T Fiber to report a concern, but they can contact us as well.
We can write something up and get it out there.
Did the first call go to AT&T, or should they come to us and let us, with a bigger gun, go after AT&T?
Either way.
Either way, okay.
I mean, we've been accepting calls.
And
We've been, we refer them to AT&T Fiber first, and if they're not getting satisfaction, we'll handle it as well.
And to add on what Alderman Knox mentioned, I can say at the intersection of Dillingham and I think it's Persimmon, right there by Prayer Branch, they did go across the road there, and they filled it, but now we just have two giant potholes where the pavement is settled. So they did fill it. It just wasn't a very good job.
Yeah, well, again, we'll make
Sure.
sure it's
No, absolutely.
done proper.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
Thank you, Mark. Yes, all about AT&T.
Alderman Cleaver, I expect it.
Not on AT&T, but yeah, I've received some emails on the Clover Park, and so I appreciate you guys getting out there and meeting with citizens and trying to come up with some solutions of how to, take care of that. So, thank you. That's it.
Next up is the mayor's report. The only thing I have is, at the next meeting, we will look at appointing board liaisons, mayor pro tem and all of that. So if there's certain, boards that you're interested in being a liaison to, either let myself or let Kid know, and we'll, get all that down, and we'll try to get you where you want to be, so. That is all I have. I believe we do have a need for an executive session under.
1 legal and 13 personnel.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session then.
So moved.
Motion by Alderman Knox, I have a second.
Second.
Second, Alderman Arnold, saw his hand.
We should add 3 to that one as well. Sorry.
Okay.
So 1, 3, and 13. Yes,
Okay.
please.
Your motion is still good? Second still good? Alderman Arnold?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll roll call.
Alderman Arnold?
Yes.
Alderman Bass?
Yes.
Alderman Cleaver?
Yes.
Alderman Knox?
Yes.
Alderman Mills?
Yes.
Alderman Fair?
Yes.
All right, we'll adjourn executive session. It's falling over there. We've had a tough time.